Does meat made us human explain everything about us? Hello everyone, I'm Tom Sanson, and today I'm going to talk about a few reasons why I think meat didn't make us human, because I don't think you can explain how we have certain traits and how they line up with meat eating, even with our big brains, even with our tool use. So let's get into it. So a lot of people say that meat made us human, and that explains how we got bigger brains and why we can throw, why we can run long distances, or even why we talk to each other. And I disagree. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. But I can at least buy those arguments as like maybe. But there are some things that I think, if you say meat made us human, there are some traits humans have that I think make no sense at all, even with tool use, even with the ability to talk, even with cooperation and food sharing. I don't think they make any sense. So that's what I'm going to talk about. The first one, I think, is our ability to smell. If you were a meat-eating animal, you would want to be able to smell better than we can smell. Yeah, we have ability to smell in some regards, mostly related to smelling what other people smell like, so you can, I don't know, tell something about them. I don't know exactly. Or we have a good sense of smell for like detecting smoke or something. But as far as smelling like dead animals, like you really have to be pretty close in order to smell a dead animal. On the savannah, that would be wildly advantageous to be able to smell better, to score an easy meal. Like say, there was some meat just like lying around, an animal that just died lying around. Like if you're an animal that relies on meat, being able to smell them better would be wildly beneficial. And I don't think you can say you can explain it away with our ability to see or whatever. Like I don't think so, because there would be so many times, there would have been enough times when you really only would have been able to smell something, or smelling it would have clued you into something much sooner. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense to say that we have a poor sense of smell, but we were walking around looking for meat all the time. If you're walking around looking for meat, you want to have a strong sense of smell. And we don't, really. Another thing is, whether you're a scavenger or a hunter on the savannah, you need either a method of escape or you need strong protection if you're going to stand your ground. And humans really have neither. We've only had spears for maybe 500,000 years. We could have carried sticks, for millions of years, obviously. But, if you're a scavenger or you're sitting around a kill, usually you need to be a fast sprinter, or you need to be able to fly. You need some sort of escape method. And humans have neither. Humans are terrible sprinters. Humans obviously can't fly. So we have really no escape method if we were, say, sitting around a kill, butchering it, taking a long time, and then, this pack of dangerous animals shows up. We would need to be able to get away. Humans couldn't really get away. And if you were to say, okay, well, maybe they always stood their ground, I don't think that makes sense either, because we don't have very tough skin. We have very exposed, vital areas. Our stomachs would be easy to gash or gore. We have exposed necks and genitals, and it just doesn't seem to fit. Either we should have a good escape mechanism, or we should be a little bit tougher when we stand our ground. And if you say that the only thing that we had was sticks and rocks and cooperation to defend ourselves, that doesn't really feel like enough. If that does feel like enough to you, I can't agree with that. I don't think that's realistic. I think it's a nice idea. a fun idea to say, well, humans were so brave and so tough that with just like a baby in one hand and a stick in the other hand, they were able to fight off just like the biggest, scariest monsters on the savannah. I don't see it as being very realistic. Um, Another thing, I think if you were a meat-eating animal, I think you would want to have a larger stomach than ours. Um, a lot of meat-eating animals can hold like 15, 20, 25% of their body weight in meat in their stomachs at a single time. We do not have very large stomachs. If I could hold 25% of my body weight in my stomach in meat at one time, that would be the equivalent of eating like 35 or so pounds of meat at one time, which is crazy. Um, but this is what a lot of carnivores can do, um, because it's wildly beneficial for a meat-eating animal to cram a lot into their stomach at one time in case there is danger that comes up. In so that there's less of a risk of bacteria continuing to grow on it and the meat rotting or going bad or something. So having a larger stomach is very beneficial for a meat-eating animal, and yet we have very small stomachs. Can't fit very much in our stomachs at one time. It doesn't line up. I don't see how having like using tools would explain why having a small stomach is beneficial. I think you would, even with using tools, cutting up meat, I think you would always want a larger stomach if you were eating mostly meat. And the last thing, related to cutting up meat with stone tools, despite using tools, now metal tools, to cut meat into small pieces, we still choke on our food all the time. And the number one offender is meat. People choke on meat all the time. It's the main thing that people choke on. And if you're a meat-eating animal, choking on meat seems really dumb. Like those two things shouldn't go together. And true carnivores don't choke on their food. And I know there's part of this is related to the fact that we can talk or something like our throats are kind of different than most other animals, partially for that reason. But still, if we were made to eat mostly meat, you would think that we would have some better mechanism for preventing choking on meat specifically, whereas most people don't choke on plant foods. The one exception is the main exception you hear about is like kids eating like grapes that are too big for them or something. But in general, the thing that people choke on the most is meat, and that doesn't make sense when you're supposed to be a meat-eating species. So, if there are reasons why you think I'm wrong, like if you have good explanations for why these things would have been beneficial, despite seeming like they would have been terribly disadvantageous, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Put them in the comments. Why it would have been beneficial to not be able to smell very well or run faster or have tougher skin, have bigger stomachs, or why it would have been beneficial to choke on meat. I don't know. They don't make any sense to me. If they make sense to you, please let me know why you think they do. If you like this video, please be sure to like and